Well, it's getting worse, guys. Portland Police Bureau firebombs, rocks, and mortars thrown at officers during riot. So the Portland police are officially labeling these events as riots. Let's see if our mainstream media has enough integrity to do the same. Multiple firebombs, mortars, rocks, and other items were thrown at law enforcement during a riot Saturday night in southeast Portland. A crowd gathered at Ventura Park and at about 9 p.m., began a march in the street toward East Portland Community Policing Center. East Precinct is an active, working police station and has been the target of arsonists, vandals, and violence in past demonstrations. It is directly adjacent to occupied townhomes and across the street from a school and a community event center. Many in the crowd were carrying large shields and dressed in protective gear including helmets, gas masks, body armor, and all-black clothing. It was clear that the intent of the crowd was not peaceful protest. Therefore, officers were positioned in such a way that prevented the march from reaching East Precinct. A police vehicle outfitted with a loudspeaker advised the crowd that for the safety of city employees and all community members, the march would not be allowed to proceed that direction. At about 9:15, as the crowd approached officers, individuals began throwing multiple firebombs at officers. One of them caught a community member on fire. Officers later located the injured person, and Portland Fire and Rescue medics offered treatment. The injured person was later taken to a hospital by a private vehicle. This criminal activity presented an extreme danger to the life and safety of all community members and prompted a declaration of a riot. The crowd was advised over a loudspeaker that it was a riot and they were to leave the area to the east immediately. They were warned that failure to adhere to this order may subject them to arrest, citation, or crowd control agents, including to, but not limited to, tear gas and/or impact weapons. Individuals within the crowd began throwing illegal fireworks/mortars at officers. Others were seen throwing rocks. At least one had a wrist rocket, which is a slingshot, launching unknown objects. In order to defend themselves against these assaults, officers used crowd control munitions, including tear gas. Officers made numerous targeted arrests. For the next 4 hours, the crowd appeared to meander through Mill Park community, attempting to get around the police blockade and reach East Precinct. Officers moved ahead of the rioters to prevent them access. Rioters lit fires in the streets, including dumpsters, garbage cans, and wooden pallets. Officers moved to push the crowd back in order to extinguish the fires. During numerous confrontations with officers, individuals launched attacks on law enforcement, including throwing objects. A sergeant was directly struck with a commercial-grade firework, which burned through his glove and injured his hand. Several officers and troopers were struck by rocks in the head, arms, shoulders, and feet. Only their protective gear prevented serious injury. An Oregon State Police vehicle was damaged by rocks, including broken windows and dents. An unexploded mortar was removed by police. Over 50 people were arrested. At least 2 were wearing body armor. 1 had a dagger. Another had a knife. The names of those arrested and their charges will be released in a later update. The response to this event included not only Portland Police Rapid Response Team and Oregon State Police, but PPB precincts had to pull officers out of patrol to assist. That limited the ability to respond to calls. At about 2 a.m., there were almost 150 calls for service holding in the city of Portland. Then we go through the videos that were attached. But that's not all of the insanity that has gone forward. There's been another attack. An exclusive from last night: militant leftist attempts to kill a conservative activist after a memorial for the Trump supporter who was murdered by Portland Antifa. A member of the Proud Boys is hospitalized with severe injuries from being hit by a car after attending a memorial for Aaron J. Danielson, the Patriot Prayer member who was shot in cold blood by Antifa. The victim is bleeding from his brain. This is from the leader of the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio, who told the Gateway Pundit that the victim is bleeding from his brain, damaged his left temporal lobe, has had a concussion, and is suffering from amnesia and cannot remember the incident. Now, the name of the Proud Boy in question is simply known as Shane, and the story is as follows. Following Danielson's memorial in Vancouver, Washington, a group of Proud Boys went to a bar down the street, and that a man who appeared to be a member of Antifa began taking photos and recordings of the people inside. A man who witnessed the incident, Rex Fergus, told the Gateway Pundit that the man started walking around the bar and recording us, putting his phone in our faces, supposedly for doxing. As he was doing that, one of our guys confronted him and said, "Hey, get out of here. We don't want you filming us. This is a private establishment and we're not in public." The man continued to try to pick fights with people in the bar at that time until security finally kicked him out of the bar. As the man was kicked out of the bar, there had already been several Proud Boys in the parking lot smoking cigarettes and just having arrived from the memorial service. Fergus explained that the man had also become combative with the Proud Boys outside of the bar. So Shane pulled his phone out and started filming him back. Once the guy started his vehicle up and started to drive off, he hit Shane. Fergus said Shane tried to get out of the way and the guy just ran him over. Shane's body went up onto the roof of the truck and his head hit the concrete when he fell. He was immediately unconscious, and after he had been hit by the truck gassed it and left the parking lot, leaving Shane on the ground bleeding out of his ears. Shane was not conscious, but he was breathing. Blood was pouring out of his ears and nose. His eyes were completely bloodshot. Luckily, a surgeon happened to be at the bar and helped them get control of the situation until paramedics arrived. The photos Shane took of his phone as he recorded this Antifa member helped police identify the man, who has now been arrested. Tarrio tells the Gateway Pundit that he was arrested, but we have not yet been able to confirm the driver's name. And Rex Fergus also provided the Gateway Pundit with videos he took of the aftermath, which I am not going to show here. This is getting out of control. God forbid Shane also die, because this is going beyond reasonable. And I've said this on my Parler account, and I'll just say it once here. 2016 was the year that the Proud Boys were founded and organized so that we could help protect the free speech of conservatives. We protected people at Berkeley, people like Milo, people like Lauren Southern, people like Gavin, people like Michelle Malkin. anyone who was a conservative who wanted the right to free speech and to go wherever they want without being assaulted, they were protected by Proud Boys. That was our first duty. Things are getting so bad that fast forward to 2020, and the Proud Boys are not defending your free speech. They're defending your right to exist. And it's madness, and it needs to stop.